One. So this is my personal podcast where we have specifically intellectual discussions about topics that we disagree on. And the purpose of this channel is to help you and other people like you have more conversations like this where they actually continue to resolution, so that they don't end with somebody throwing their arms in the air or punching somebody in the face or yelling or, you know, just finding general gap between you. And so we want to close that gap. We want to bring people together. So I think it's important to be able to know how to engage in these conversations and actually find some kind of, whether it's common ground or some other type of resolution. They don't always have to be agreeance, but being able to mutually understand each other is the goal here. So this is Brian. I'm not going to share all his information. This is Brian. He is my friend, and we are going to have a discussion about well, sort of like politics. We're going to talk a little bit about policy, Republican and Democrat. We might talk about upcoming candidates if it goes there. But we're really going to just try to find the common ground and the common goals between the parties right now, because there's a lot of discourse and there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of disagreement going on between the parties. And a lot of the time it can get very heated. So Brian and I are going to show you that it doesn't have to be heated. Brian, could you actually clarify for everybody? Are you what party do you self-proclaim yourself as? Like, what do you identify as?
I'm an independent, to be honest with you. So I don't really align with either party fully.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to find. I've always tried to find like who would be like the best person and the most capable leader. In any election for any type of government, rather than a political party.
Okay. So you're not necessarily voting inside party lines. If you see a candidate that you like, you vote for him.
Yeah, I can easily, jump back and forth from, and somebody they're like, oh, you voted for Trump, you're right wing, you voted for Biden. No, I'm not. That's not me at all. I'm like, I really want to try to find, who's got the best vision, who's got who's got the best leadership skills, the best background, instead of finding somebody who's okay. I just always struggled with our party aligns with this, so we're going to stick to that agenda, and since we're representing that party, we're going to cram it down your throat, whether you're left or right, whatever it is. And that's not really what I care to get involved with.
Yeah. Gotcha. So would you say that you're independent leaning slightly right or leaning slightly left? Because myself, if you ask me, I would say I'm moderate, but I actually do lean slightly left. I just tend to have more views on the left. But I wasn't sure what you are.
Well, I think from all my years of playing football, I think my left leg's a little bit longer than my right leg, so I tend to lean right naturally. But that's not really my political view. But no, I would say I'm more of a progressive moderate. And I probably lean a little bit more right than left.
Okay.
But it's probably 51-49. In that department.
So. Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's sort of just jump into like policy and candidates. My first question to kick us off here is, we talked a little bit about if somebody like Trump ran in the future, like JD Vance or someone from his administration, what policies would you be looking for if a Republican candidate from either that administration or even another administration ran? Like, what would stand out to you? Why would you vote for someone?
That's a tough one. That's really a wide open range there, Paul, and I appreciate the question. I really want to look for somebody who is going to unify. More of somebody who's basically got the interest of everybody, and as is their front page news, and how they're going to help people instead of building walls, building borders. You can even go back and jump into Obamacare, which was a complete disaster. I like the idea of universal health care, but we're still recovering from that. So it's just, there's a lot of things that, kind of weigh into that. And I guess if I was,
Can I interrupt you?
yeah,
Do you think universal healthcare can be done?
I unfortunately don't think it can be done in our country.
Why not?
I think the one percenters rule the roost. I think it's the healthcare is rampant. I mean, the doctors who, you know, they're all super rich. Let's put it to you this way. I have some people that I'm associated with that were in an event that I was just recently at, and um, he was a doctor, and he flew his, because of all the weather storms and things like that, the weather event, uh, was able to jump on a plane and a private jet and fly his family out and back on the same day for the event. Um, so I think, uh, if I'm not really, I know I'm being a little bit vague, but I don't think because of capitalism we're going to be able to do that in our country.
Mm. Well, we
I
have
think,
some social safety nets in capitalism. They're being, I don't know if all of them are not all of them. Some of them are being challenged, like SNAP, food benefits, the Affordable Care Act, like subsidized government programs that help everybody. And a lot of the times those things being challenged mean that 1% or that corporate, like the billionaires and the people in the top income levels are benefiting from it because they're not having to pay as much taxes. They're not having to put into those types of programs, and they can just pay for their own private stuff, which hits the normal consumer like you and me a lot harder because we spend a much greater portion of our income on it, right?
right.
So what would be the solution then? Because if you privatize medical care, like if it's all private, I see that as a conflict of interest, because then the people who are helping to cure you are also making money because you're sick.
Right.
So what do you do about it?
That's
If
the
if
dilemma.
universal
That's the
health
problem.
care doesn't work and private doesn't work, what do we do?
Well, I think it works in, I wish I would have had a little bit more time to talk to him, but I had a friend who basically, took a hiatus and went to Spain for like 3 months and lived there and just kind of immersed themselves in the culture and their family. And they were just talking about how awesome their universal health care was, that you can just walk into any doctor's office at any time and get help.
Mm.
Um, and I think with the privatization of it in our country, I think it's too ingrained. Um, I think it's too entrenched. I think there would always be conflict. I heard it for years as well. I mean, Canada has universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
And
I know
everybody
a lot
complains
of
about how
people
long it takes.
and how long it takes, and, getting here. And then all of a sudden, if you're like, I was in sports for years, I was, collegiate coach for years, and your athletes are always at the front of the line, so it's even with, you know, healthcare being what it is in Canada. I know a lot of people that had to come down to the States, especially people who were like getting chemo or had to get, drugs that they didn't have to wait for. And so there's just a lot to it. But I do like the idea of everybody being taken care of. I just don't know I just don't know how that could be done in our country with, you know, how I mean, look at Pfizer, not to, launch a grenade there, but billions upon billions and billions of dollars. I don't know how you felt about when COVID, but when I was forced to get the vaccine, it really made me angry.
Hmm.
You know, it was like I
Was
was
that
like
because of your
literally
job? They made you do it to keep your job?
they made me do it to keep my job. And I did the first 2 rounds, and and this is, I think, what we're trying to get at is when people have a reaction to stuff like that. Like the second time I went and I stood in the mile-long line with my mask on, trying to get my second shot. I got up there, and they said, congratulations. I'm like, what are you congratulating me for? Being a lab rat, forcing me to do this? Don't congratulate me. I'm not here on my own free will, And then they came out, and I did not. I ended up in the ER with heart palpitations
Oh, wow.
after the second shot.
Is that just because it affected your body so much?
Yes,
Because I know
don't really.
I took I think it was the Pfizer one, and I took the second shot. And I don't remember which one it was, but I just for a whole day, I like could not move. It was crazy. Like I
Yeah.
felt like this is like, if it was worse, it would affect my body like a lot. But thankfully I got through it. I didn't have any issues after that. And I think I even got COVID. I think I got the Delta variant later, because I got a really big exposure to it. Pretty much everyone at this event had it, and then I took it home. But it wasn't that bad. And I want to hope that was because I got the vaccine, because they have data proving that it is effective. But yeah, I hear you. Forcing people to do it, like we don't even force babies to get all the vaccines right when they're born. That's only if you're in a hospital, right?
Right. Right. And well, so then they came out with a booster
Right.
shot, the second round, and I'm like,
Because
they're
they're
like,
they're
well,
saying their variants coming out. We gotta have the boosters.
yeah, well, but I guess my point is somebody's making money off of that.
Mm,
All those shots, even though they're, you line up to get them, somebody's paying for them at the state level or the government level. Somebody's paying for them.
right.
And the thing is
Mine
with
was
this,
free, right? So it is the government paying for it.
yeah, it was the government paying for it, but the government paid somebody.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I mean,
Warren
he was
Buffett.
part of that.
I know.
He was
I
in
know.
there. There's a
Well,
big
and
conspiracy that COVID was manufactured. I don't know if I believe it, but that COVID was manufactured to get people under control. Some people are saying that the COVID vaccine has microchips in it. I definitely do not believe that at all.
no, no,
I think that's a little extreme.
that's a lot of experience. Yeah.
But yeah, I think they should be choices. I don't know if you heard me typing in the background. I was trying to look up which countries have universal health care and which ones it's like actually good in. It says Netherlands and Switzerland are frequently cited for excellent quality, patient choice, and comprehensive coverage, with the Netherlands often top ranked for efficiency. Singapore, Australia, Taiwan. I'm actually surprised. I want to share this map because there's, if this is accurate, we might need to verify this. But like this map right here, that's a lot of countries that offer universal health care. And when all the maps look almost the same, let's see. They don't actually. Don't trust Wikipedia.
No.
I might trust this. I don't see why the government would lie as a .gov. I don't see why they would lie about which countries have it. Okay. I like the map better though.
Yeah, I'm more of a visual person, so that was. But, I think, the point I was trying to make earlier is basically I had 24 hours to get my booster shot, or I was going to be out of a job.
Oh,
Um,
shit.
so I went down to the deadline, and then that next morning I was, ready to go in and go through HR and do what I had to do to be done. But then they came out that morning and said it wasn't required.
After you got it?
No, I didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get it. So I was ready to be done working where I was working. Um, it was a state university, and I'm like, no, it's not happening. So, all right,
Yeah.
I guess I'll find another job.
I don't see anywhere else other than Wikipedia with a map. I'm just going to assume that this is roughly accurate. And we know some of these are true and some are not. So like Canada, Greenland, like there's a lot respectively that offer universal healthcare. Indonesia, South America, most of Europe. And our country makes more money than them.
Way more money.
I mean, we managed to add a lot to our national debt as well, but we make more money than them.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should be possible. I've heard the argument where it makes people complacent, but my mind goes to like, if it's essential for life, liberty, and happiness, then I would say we should try to make those universally available, especially when it's like children, and like, because children can't just go like work for it, especially if they're born into a poor family. Like there's nothing they can do. There's just whatever their parents make. That's it. That's right. What they get. So yeah.
And if you survive, you survive.
Maybe it needs some kind of structure where it's like a universal healthcare based system. Maybe it's not. It doesn't need to be great, right? But everyone has access to it. And then if you want better healthcare, you can get like a private insurance or something like that that's a little higher quality. And then it would force companies to compete with the universal healthcare prices to stay competitive, because if it gets too expensive, then people will just be like, well, screw it. I'll just get the universal healthcare.
Right.
And that's like a big problem with healthcare right now is they're eliminating their own competition. And the more they eliminate their own competition, they drive up the market, and they actually drive themselves out of business because they're outpricing like the normal everyday consumer.
Right. Well, and how many doctors who, well, first of all, the friends who I've had who, have gone through medical school and are doctors and do the residency and do all that, they're paying off that medical school bill for years. They're paying that off. So that takes a significant amount of income to do that, to make that. But, how do you do it so that all of a sudden you've gone through all that, now you're making some money? How are you going to go to all these doctors and say, hey, you need to take on so many cases per year that are basically pro bono? You have to help people, and because not everybody can afford private insurance, or not everybody's company has insurance.
They should get paid somehow.
Yeah, they should get paid somehow. But I think if it's, if this may be way not, off topic, but would it end up being like teachers? I think teachers are grossly underpaid. And
that's true, because that's a government subsidized thing, right? Of public schools. Right.
And teachers are grossly underpaid unless you're at the university level with, doctorates and master's degrees and things like that. They're grossly underpaid. So I guess my point is, would the medical community be that same way? If it was, like, okay, so
well, is it that way in universal healthcare countries?
I'm not sure.
How much do doctors get paid in the Netherlands? Since they're the shining example, apparently. Let's see. Dutch doctor salaries vary significantly by experience, of course, around 150,000 euros to 173,000 euros. That's actually not that much, is it? That's like 100K in US dollars, right?
Right.
So it's actually not
guess
that
you
much.
no, and you'd have to factor in the cost of living and
Mhm.
things like that, and
Well, it's cheaper in
how
the
much.
Netherlands, so they get a little more. It's a little cheaper in the Netherlands than here. Has to be.
I would think so.
I haven't looked it up, but I would just assume. Okay.
Well, it's just like one of the, I was dating a girl who was, she's in her mid 50s, and she's, she got her master's in psychology, and she's still trying to pay off her student loan debt. Uh, I think that's, the whole thing that, with doctors is like, okay, how much does it cost to get in? My point earlier being it costs a significant amount of money here, at least, to go through medical school and do everything, go through the proper channels, do your residency, and, to become a full-time doctor. Then when you get through all that, then it takes you years to pay off your medical school. And then,
Okay.
would it be a situation like that? Would it be like, okay, well, I only make $150,000 a year, but my my student loan for or medical school bill was $400,000. That's going to take me 30 years to pay that off.
Yeah, so my proposal on this would be like if I was the one coming up with the policy, I would probably say some version of a socialist base where there's a universal health care for people that are low income, like need it, can't afford it. It should be subsidized by a progressive tax system, which we can talk about later if you want to. And then people who want the better quality should be able to pay for private insurance and get higher quality. Now, if you're a doctor, $100,000 a year for starting out, like if you're on the low level and you're just starting out in government subsidized work, that's not that bad. Like for your first, job, even like 80,000, and you can work up from there. That's not terrible. And you can even start as a nurse and make a little less, right? But then as you climb up and you get some experience, you could get hired by a private company and get paid more. So that would actually create potentially a nice structure where people would get the care they need, doctors would get paid what they're worth, and hopefully everyone would be happy, but everyone's not always happy. So
no. Yeah. And, and I know firsthand what, my ex-wife was a pharmaceutical rep for Novartis and Pfizer for a little bit, and made insane money. Going around, basically, I made fun of her. I'm like, you're a drug dealer, so you're going from place to place trying to sell drugs out of the trunk of your car. Okay, all right. I don't know.
Actually, that's pretty accurate.
So I don't know how that's going to work, but she made a lot of money, and it's and I guess that's the thing. You get a big pharma pushing things like that. So, and they're the like one percenters of one percenters when it comes to, um, able to steamroll people with the money that they have.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, well, let's go to the next thing. So what else would you say as far as Republican policies that you would want to see in the next presidency?
See, that's where I struggle, Paul, to be honest with you, as far as policies go, because just a little bit of the background, and we talked a little bit about this before, just you and I personally, but I grew up in Ohio, and my dad, like they were, my dad was first generation Italian American. My parents were immigrants from Italy. They moved here, post World War II. And my dad was first generation Italian American. But and so he worked at General Motors in Ohio, and so he was, back then it was, the Democratic Party is for the little guy, they're for the union.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to protect the working class people.
We were talking about how they lost sight of that.
They lost sight of that.
I think that's why they've been losing elections.
I totally agree. And it's not something that you can even read, or you can, like educate yourself about. It's just more of a like, okay, we can see that. That's actually what's happening. And then so the Republicans started doing that a little bit more. And, I think.
Well, the worst part, sorry to cut you off.
No,
the
it's
the
okay.
worst part about it is that they have policies that help working class Americans. They just don't tell anyone.
Right.
Like the way I see it, just from my little bubble of experience that I have, Republicans are insanely good at marketing, but not always the best at delivering. Democrats are very good at delivering, but they have horrible marketing. Like they don't know how to sell themselves at all or communicate their ideas.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's I'm not sure if I agree with that or not. I think they both market themselves. I think they both, there's a lot of research on the psychology of marketing. You know that,
Mm.
and I don't know if one's better than the other, but I think they try to find the majority of, like, where can I find the majority of votes? Well, I'm going to say I'm for this. I might not actually be that way, but that's what I'm going to go with to get elected. And I guess that's why I really lost my taste for politics and political parties and, who's right and who's wrong. And I
Yeah, like
think,
when I get elected, I'll release the Epstein files, and then
yeah, or I'll pay my taxes.
and then crickets.
Yeah. um, yeah, but I mean, that doesn't resonate with me at all. And I think in a nutshell for me, we've come up with some of the world's most amazing technology. I mean, we invented the cell phone. We sold it to China to develop, and we've done a lot of amazing things as a country, and still one of the newest countries in the world. I just have to ask, why can't we come up with better candidates for president?
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I think, we talked a little bit about it before. I think, for me, I didn't vote either way when it was, Trump and Clinton. But I
Hmm.
think most of the people that I talked to are like, it was the lesser of two evils to go
Yeah,
with this maniac instead of that maniac.
yeah. I
And
I do not. I like Hillary. Like I'll say, based on like economic results, Bill Clinton did pretty good, and so I think Hillary, there was an assumption that she would be similar, right? Like the same administration is taking over. But when I saw her in debates, I did not like her. I actually did not like either of them, because what I saw was like Hillary would come in with like her game plan and she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna stick to these points and I'm gonna beat Trump on all these points. And then Trump would say something like really immature and it would just get right under her skin and she would just get sucked right into it, and then she's like debating him as a person instead of her policies. And I was just
exactly.
like we have two immature options for presidents. We don't get anyone else. This is it.
It's like two kindergartners. Your dress is ugly, and they're ready to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of saying, "Well, I'm sorry, why do you find it ugly? What bothers you
Hmm.
about my dress?" You
Exactly.
know, I think I'd rather see something like that. And I don't know how most of America feels, but I just really lost my taste for who's going to be the biggest bully on the block, or who's going to say the most insanely incomprehensible and unsustainable things to get elected and then never follow through on them. Um, it's just and again, it's the flip flop of the political structure of the Democrats and the Republicans. And like I said, and then I moved down to I think I've had the benefit, eye-opening benefit, and I mean I can understand these feelings because when I grew up that way, I was like, you say anything about the Democrats, I'm ready to beat your brains in. My dad votes for the Democrats. And, my dad's everything. He's the smartest man in the world. And then you grow up and you're like, okay, well, maybe there's some truth here, maybe there's not. Then I moved to the South where it's very conservative, right wing. And then I lived in Oregon where it was ultra, ultra liberal and left wing.
Hmm.
And, the thing is, everybody like here is they're so set in their ways. They're so ready to, throw fists if you disagree with them at all about even though they don't like Trump, and they still support the Republican Party, and he's a representative, so he's our guy. Um, I think I had the benefit of seeing both sides with more open eyes. And I was with a girl for dated somebody for a long time in the West Coast, who I called her my hippie chick, and because she was just so peace, love, and harmony, and everything about the Republicans is evil, and you know, I mean, Paul, you can take it back to the first time Trump got elected, and I mean, the country about tore itself apart. Riots and fighting and Antifa and all that, and it was
that in the first term too? They were talking about Antifa.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that.
Yeah,
I think I was a little bit more informed up to like the election. And then after he got elected, like he was I noticed he was very active in the first year, and then I just like stopped paying attention to it. I was like, I need to focus on business stuff and not think about politics. So I didn't know that was all going on.
Yeah. Good. Sorry, got a house full of people here.
Hey, you're good.
Yeah. But yeah, there was that, and it's I don't really
okay, let me ask. That's okay. Let me ask you. As far as like, because we talked about Hillary and Trump, how did you feel? Did you watch Kamala and Trump's debate?
No, at that point, I didn't see the point of watching anything that was. I just was really turned off by all politics at that point, and I'm like, I don't really want to listen to two people arguing, and if somebody's trying to make a point, and the strategy of getting them off topic by throwing stones or whatever it was, I just really didn't. So,
I thought she did a pretty good job in that debate. It was actually like she didn't get sucked into the childish stuff like Hillary did. So I was happy for that. But he took her off guard with this comment about eating cats and dogs. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone just remembers that from the debate. They don't remember anything else.
Well, and I think that's the point. Everybody wants to, they when I don't follow MMA, but you had that one guy who was always trash talking the other guy, and that's what the entertainment value of that.
Yeah, good media, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I going through college and advertising, get my advertising degrees, like no publicity is bad publicity. Like, I don't know if I agree with that, but.
All right. So I was looking up some of her policies because I don't actually know all of them are. I know that she wanted to. I know there are tax breaks for income earners under 400,000 in the Big Beautiful Bill. I do know that she wanted to keep those. I have heard that the Big Beautiful Bill redistributes taxes more to lower and middle class individuals, but I haven't read the policies inside of it that do that. I've just heard that, so I don't actually know if it does. So she wanted to keep those. She wanted to expand the child tax credit, supports a $15 minimum wage. Expand the Affordable Care Act, lower prescription drug costs. Let's see. Opposes abortion bans. Oh, how do you feel about abortion?
I think it's a woman's body. It's their choice. It's their body. It's their right.
Yeah, me too. Up to a certain point, right? Or do you think that it's okay all the way through the pregnancy, or do you think that it should be allowed up to a certain point?
I think it should be allowed up to a certain point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the general I don't know what group or whatever believes this, but the general like kind of consensus around it scientifically is that sentience occurs around 20 to 24 weeks, like third trimester. And so
Mhm.
after that point, it's considered inhumane. Even though I don't know if they're having any kind of subjective experience while they're in there, but that's generally the prevailing time period. Invest in renewable energy. How do you feel about that? Renewable energy versus like coal and fossil fuels? Because Trump is really big on drilling and fossil fuels.
Yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather go to more solar, and I think that's just a better alternative because we're not going to.
We're going to
We're
run
not
out
gonna
of
be able
fossil
to.
fuels eventually. It's a limited resource.
Hold on one second. It's dinner where I'm at. I've
Oh,
got,
okay.
like I said, a house full of people, so they're asking me if I want dinner. I'm good. Hold on one second.
We can finish soon too if you want to.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Because I do want to kind of get into, um, what it looks like to have people who are just ready to fight. Like when they stormed the White House, um, and things like that.
I mean, the Capitol.
When the Capitol, when people get so riled up that they're ready to march in the streets and just randomly beat people up if they look different or talk different or you know uh,
We might be getting closer to that. Did you hear what happened in Minneapolis?
oh my god.
Like just this past like couple days. It was like 2 days ago.
I've been following the riots, but I haven't heard anything. I've been like when I'm at an event like I'm at right now, I kind of lose track of
Oh yeah.
like everything else that's going on in the world.
So let me know if you heard about this one. 2 days ago, there was a guy named Alex Preddy. He was a ICU nurse, and he actually treated VA combat veterans. He was outside in front of a donut shop, and there were some ICE agents pushing a couple women, like they were pushing them to the ground. And he was filming, and he told them to stop. And he sort of like when one of the ICE agents pushed a woman, he caught her to like keep her from hitting the ground. And then they started getting in his face and saying, "You're obstructing." And then they pushed him. And then, so he's holding his phone camera, right? Like he's not necessarily doing anything obstructive, just filming.
Right.
So they start pushing him, and then like 5 agents get on him and start like throwing him to the ground. And you can see in the video, like maybe I don't know if I can show the video. It's kind of disturbing. One of the agents pulls a gun out of Alex's, like it's in a holster, like behind him. He actually had a legal permit to carry a gun, so he's not breaking the law there. He has his gun. But an ICE agent pulls it out of his holster and walks away with it. After that, you hear gunshots. They shoot him in the back while he's like on the ground, like being pushed down and detained. They shoot him in the back, and then they proceed to shoot him 12 times.
Are you kidding me?
Like after they disarmed him, they shot him and killed him. And then, of course, like before anything happens, like the body is still warm, and Trump goes on Truth Social and starts blaming Democrats and radical leftists and all this stuff. And I'm like, so yeah, things are like kind of escalating. It looks really bad based on just that like the Trump administration is just ready to just defend that without any investigation or anything, like any verified evidence. And it just seems like they're trying to escalate it. Because I see people reacting to what they see ICE doing. And if they see ICE doing that and then the administration trying to like make it okay and normalize it, that's just going to make people even more mad.
No, you're right, and it should. It makes me mad. I mean, just hearing your account of it makes me mad. It's that could lead to another whole rabbit hole. But the whole like going back to George Floyd, Rodney King, the abuse of power, and then the polarization of all cops are evil, the whole entity is evil. No, there's actually good police, there's bad police, there's
Yeah.
good agents, there's bad agents. Well, I guess I'm more curious about the psychology of why somebody would react that way to shoot an unarmed man in the back 12 times. I just can't even
It
fathom.
was like 3 of them pulled out their guns and shot him. And he was like already pepper sprayed. Like they already got him with pepper spray and stuff. He wasn't reaching for his firearm.
I mean,
It's
is
just
that more of a
crazy.
mob? Is that more of a mob mentality? You see somebody doing it, so you join in.
Could be.
I mean, especially if it's like, oh, he shot him, we got our guns out, we might as well join in. It's the primal instinct to fight or flight. I don't know.
I actually want to see if I can get just show a video here, because I have posted this on Facebook, so it shouldn't be like super. Oh, you know what? I can show this one. This is cut and edited. The person narrating is leftist, so there's probably some bias in here. I might even have some bias, right? But it does show like key details. Let me see if I can just like move this. Okay.
We have new video footage of ICE's most recent murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, we have new video footage of
sorry.
ICE's most recent murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, as they begin to walk up, they put hands on him. This is very clear. They escalate. Not only are you constitutionally allowed to record agents, but the Supreme Court has said multiple times that you can stand there and record. But under Trump's ICE, he has emboldened masked ICE agents to tackle and detain U.S. citizens for simply recording.
He's just got his phone out.
We know after that, he is shot not only once by an ICE agent, but then almost a dozen more times while he is laying motionless on the ground. The argument coming from the administration has been, thus far, that he had a weapon and was discharging that weapon, therefore putting people around him in danger. But just like in the case of Renee Nicole Good, they are lying to your face. The man in the gray jacket that's standing right here
Yeah, watch
walks
this.
up in this slow motion, slowed down version of the full video and removes the weapon from the 37-year-old victim's holster. Watch. He walks up, and in the slow down footage, you see him remove it from the man's waistband. And if I pause it right here, you can see that he now has a weapon in his hand, which he further walks away with. The man right here in this jacket walks up, doesn't have a gun as he's walking up in his hand. There's nothing in his hand whatsoever. And then as he's walking away, he has this gun in his hand. We will not let this administration lie to.
So that's kind of part of it.
As
It
they begin to
doesn't
walk up.
show the actual shooting. Let's see. I can probably show this. This video, this version of it, you can't see as much because there's a car in the way. That's why I feel kind of okay sharing this, because it's not really graphic, but you can pretty much see what's going on. So like struggling. See this guy? He's the one that comes up and gets the gun, I think. Yeah, so
Who is that guy?
he's one of the, I think he's ICE. So he grabs the gun out of the holster right there, runs away with it, and then they shoot him. There he goes, dead. So my assessment of it is that they went, oh, he has a gun, shoot him. And nobody was actually being threatened. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's insane. Well, I mean, it didn't look like they shot him in the back with his feet were pointing up, but
They shot him in the back first. Here, let me yeah, so right there. Can I rewind? No controls. Okay, I'll see if I can just pause it at the right time. There's another angle you can look up. I think it's this girl back here in the pink. Yeah, I think her angle is on the internet as well, and you can see that he's on his knees for the first shot. So let's see. This guy grabbing the gun, grabs it right there, and see, this guy is shooting him right here. He's got his gun out and he goes, wait, no, it wasn't him. No, it wasn't him. Who was it? It's hard to see from this angle. But anyway, you can look at the other angle. I don't want to show it on stream.
No, I don't want to see it, to be honest with you. It's so gross and inhuman to do that. As, wait a minute, there's like 5 guys at least. Tackle them down, pin them down. I mean, if you're ever training an aggressive dog, you sometimes have to pin them to the ground to show them who's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't shoot them.
Yeah, like people should be complying with law enforcement, but that does not, just resisting is not a reason to shoot somebody. Or running away, or or heckling them. Like, none of those are reasons to just kill them.
No, and well, I mean, I'll give you a good example, because it's something like that happened. Not like that happened to me, but I was driving home late one night, and somebody was like tailgating me the whole time on a like a 2-lane country road, backcountry road, and I would speed up, they would speed up. I would slow down and pull over to the road so they could pass me. And, had their bright lights on and behind me the whole time. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Go by me. I was waving them by, and this went on for miles. Well, then it breaks into a 2-lane highway, and they pass me away. Yeah, good riddance. Next thing you know, somebody comes flying up behind me again. And I'm like, Jesus, are you kidding me? So I pulled over, and then the red and blue lights came on. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what I did. I wasn't speeding. Maybe I didn't use my turning signal before I got out of the person's way who was tailgating me, but it was a cop tailgating me. So then when I pulled over, he come up, and at the time I was, not in a great situation. I was kind of in between homes. He was like, asking me a bunch of questions. Do you have any idea why I pulled you over? I said, no. He goes, well, we got a call about a drunk driver trying to pull somebody over. I mean, you mean the idiot in the SUV that just passed me, that tailgated me for 20 miles with their high beams on? That person? Okay. All right. So why did you pull me over? He goes, well, they said you were drunk. Oh, so my breath was that bad they could smell it in their car behind me going 50 miles an hour? So at this point, I'm being a little antagonistic to the cop because I just didn't see the right. But here's where it escalates. Not only did he pull me over, but then 4 more state troopers rolled up with their lights blazing.
Did they breathalyze you? How did this resolve?
5 state troopers pulled me over. 5. And I'm like, he goes, well, you did swerve. I'm like, you mean when you tailgated me? To his credit, he goes, okay, that's fair. And I'm like, so why are there 5 of you? He goes, well, I'm a big man. I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. It's on my driver's license that way. I'm a large guy. I've always been a big guy. And he goes, well, we called in your driver's license. We weren't going to take any chances. Okay, well, I'm not drunk. Can I go on my way now? And the funny part was it de-escalated quickly, because I heard one of the state troopers call out my name. And, I coached his daughter at one point, like years ago. But the point is, it could have escalated very quickly. And, especially when I lived in Alabama with racial tension and things like that, where, it doesn't always end up the same way.
Yeah.
But the point is, you shouldn't, to take another person's life when you're in no danger is just, it's unfathomable to me. It's gross. I don't understand. And there's, when things like that happen, Paul, if I'm going to be all the way honest, I really question the vetting process of allowing people to, I don't know what kind of training you get. I don't know what kind of,
It was like the
What
thing
kind of
thing with
training would
Renee
be
Good.
nice
Like,
to-
why didn't he just prioritize jumping out of the way when
Yeah.
you know the with the car?
It's
It's
almost like they're looking for an excuse.
mm,
Anything, however minor it is. And it's not just one person. You know, now there's been 2 incidences like that in what, a month?
yeah, it's like a week. Yeah, definitely within the month. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to come from that. You know, yeah, I don't get it.
One of the comment chains I was going through, I think it was actually with Keala, he brought up that ICE agents receive a lot of threats. And like I could definitely understand that. Like there's a whole thing with Democrats right now. They're trying to dox the ICE agents, like reveal their names. I even saw a TikTok video where they were like, we got all the names of all the ICE agents, and he just let them roll down the screen. And like, we should be able to know their identities. We shouldn't be threatening them necessarily. But that doesn't give them an excuse in this case, right? Just to shoot this person. Like Alex was not threatening them. And if they feel threatened for their life, they shouldn't be ICE agents. That's my thought. You know, like if you don't want to share your identity, don't become an officer.
Right. You're a public servant.
Mm-hmm. Congress people do it. They share their identities. They get death threats. Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she wanted to vote to release the Epstein files, and then Trump started threatening her, she was getting all kinds of death threats from the MAGA party, and so she decided to resign. And that's just like part of being a public servant. You have your name out there.
Yeah.
You don't wear a mask.
No.
Let me ask you, you brought up Charlie Kirk, and I want to ask you, because you mentioned you wanted to see how that played out. What did you want to see play out from Charlie Kirk's career?
Well, he had a strong appeal to the college student age people.
Yeah, he would go to college campuses and debate.
Yeah, and he was he didn't seem to be he had a I don't know, I guess it was more of a personal stance in a lot of things instead of a political stance. But you know, from his upbringing, as far as
a lot of it's rooted in Christianity.
Exactly. But I guess I just wanted to kind of see how that played out in a unifying basis. You know, appealing to the younger people, and I don't know. I guess there just seemed to be a lot of potential, and he didn't seem to align with the Trump administration as far as supporting all the craziness that Trump is.
Like Israel?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't seem like he was ready to start a war or.
No, that was the impression I got too from Charlie, that he was debating honestly. I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that he said, but I cannot deny that I admire certain qualities, like getting up and debating just random people at a college campus. That takes some balls. That's not easy to just go do and just get in front of people and debate them and have these types of conversations. And then secondly, while in some debates, he definitely came from a place of I know the answer already and I don't want to move. There were other times where I definitely saw him reconcile the information and think about it, like with the Israel thing. He was not always pro-Israel, but that's something that came out actually a couple weeks before he was killed, I think.
Yeah.
And he would literally was just like, yeah, they're genociding. They're doing an ethnic cleanse.
Yeah. Well, I guess the appealing and intriguing part for Charlie Kirk to me was the fact that he could, like you said, it takes balls to go to a campus where, especially college students because they're super political at that point anyway, because they think they know everything. I had two kids in college, and they thought they knew
Yeah, I'll
everything.
second that. I'll second that.
Okay, but he found a way to not let it escalate. He actually reflected before he answered. He wasn't reactionary. He didn't
That's a
throw
really
stuff.
good point.
He didn't get defensive. He had a ground. He stood his ground, but he didn't let things go to that next level between where it came to this.
No.
And I think that's something that we desperately need in this country, to be able to move forward in a positive manner. So I guess that part of it, like, whether he could have been a Democrat for all I care, but to the way he presented himself, my point is, I didn't care what party he represented. The way he presented himself, and the appeal that he had to the most influential people in our country, really appealed to me,
Mm,
and I wanted to see how that developed.
yeah, those are good qualities.
Yeah.
I've always been
We don't have
interested
that
to
today.
see how people like diffuse the tension, like reduce the tension and keep it from de-escalate.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we need more de-escalation in the
Yeah, when's the
country.
last time we've had that in politics?
Yeah, we're seeing the opposite.
Ever? The history of ever? Yeah, it's
So okay, so this brings up actually a very interesting topic. I don't know that like this is really much of a debate at this point anymore, but this is a really interesting way to go, which is about debate itself. Because I've heard so many people comment on my posts or from conversations I've commented on other posts. They tell me that I'm dividing people by posting opinions, debating people. I want to get your opinion because obviously you don't. Oh, hang on. Obviously you don't think that debate is intrinsically divisive, right? Because of these things that you're saying about Charlie.
correct.
So it would be about how you approach the debate. So I want to ask you, what particular things did you notice that even though Charlie had some very controversial opinions, what did you notice him do that actually brought people more together than separating people?
I think for the most part, when people get into a debate like that and they're challenged, instead of getting defensive, he to me, he seemed to be more curious. Okay, and reflective. Okay, curious to where you're coming from. Are you just trying to start a fight, or is this how you really believe? You may disagree with how I believe, and that you're right, but this is how I believe, and instead of going, you're wrong, and all the finger pointing that we're used to, I don't know, it just seemed like he was able to diffuse the situation by reflecting on it, asking why they're coming at him like, or not why they're coming at him like that, but where they're coming from, and not even defending why he feels that way. He's like, this is my personal stance on things, and I think that's the thing that we don't have is everybody. I think, growing up in Ohio, I grew up this way, but then I've lived all over the country, so I've seen all sides of it. But everywhere I go, wherever the culture is, if it's a political left culture or political right culture, it's so ingrained in people that they can't see the other side. It's like if you have two college rivalries, I hate that school, even though they're good kids. They're not wearing my colors. That's not my logo.
Mm.
And I think the identification process and the psychology behind that is, to me, very interesting, and how easily we can be, manipulated to feel and think a certain way just because of honestly not being able to think for ourselves and open up our minds and approach things with curiosity. I think if, like, okay, well, Paul, you disagree with me on this. Why do you feel that way? Instead of saying, well, I'm right and you're wrong, you're an asshole. Sorry if I should have said that on
You're good.
this platform.
I think I said the F word earlier.
You may have, but I didn't catch that because again, it doesn't offend me. But I think that's the whole thing is people are so easily they're super entrenched, they're easily offended, and instead of being curious, they're ready to fight. Um, and I guess,
Yeah.
how do,
And how
why,
does
why,
that solve it?
okay, yeah, you,
Or even like they'll just run away from it, right? They'll disengage. And then
right.
the problem simmers and it stays. And whatever time does to that division between people, maybe it gets bigger, maybe it gets smaller. I think I don't really have a determination on that. Whether does it actually get bigger if you don't address it, or does it stay the same, or does it get smaller? It doesn't seem to get smaller.
It doesn't stay. It either, well, I don't think it goes away, first of all. It could grow for most people, depending on what your disposition is. But
Maybe if you resolve it personally within yourself, like that kind of helps you, but not them.
yeah, I mean, well, I'll give you a personal example. Why was I attracted to women who had certain abusive or toxic qualities to them? You know, I had to go
Mm.
back to early childhood to like, well, okay, well, I thought I had a pretty good childhood. Where did this come from? But you gotta. My point is not to bring any of my personal things into it. Is that you have to be reflective and you have to be curious. Okay, why did I feel that way? Why did I react that way? Why did I
Mm.
get defensive? Why was I ready to fight over something so stupid after you thought about it? Okay, they have as much, the other person has just as much a right to their opinion as you do. It doesn't mean they're right and you're wrong, or you're right and they're wrong. There's, but it doesn't have to come down to war or killing somebody in the street for
Mm.
having a gun who's on the ground. And there's five of you on one of them that you could have easily just pinned them down and held them there. I don't understand that. But see, then again, that makes me want to fight. You know?
It makes you want to defend people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's hard to put yourself in the shoes of like, how do I understand this seemingly completely opposing perspective without necessarily immediately saying that I'm definitely wrong about it? Like, how do I understand them and just mutually understand it? Because I what you're saying, like, that's exactly what people do, is they go to the assumption that I'm right and you're wrong. And hang on, I'm getting paged. Okay, I gotta leave soon. Yeah, my wife's paging me. We got a pager app because sometimes like I'll just literally miss her text and I'll just like I'll see it 10 or 20 minutes late. I'm like, I'm on my way, baby. Sorry.
Not in traffic.
So we got a pager app that bypasses the do not disturb.
Nice.
What was I saying? Yeah. So being open to the other side. It's like you're saying, it takes effort. And
Right.
It takes openness to the potential of being wrong. I think where people have a lot more trouble with it nowadays is where things get even more extreme. Because there's extreme groups on both sides. I have personally witnessed people saying things like Hitler is awesome. And so like, how do you come from a place of understanding that perspective if it's something like that?
You don't. Yeah. That's an extreme but valid point. But yeah, it's.
Like at some point, I don't know, like at some point you got to draw a line, right? Like, I can understand that myopic view, but, how do we bridge that? Do we bridge that gap?
I don't think you can bridge that gap, but I think it's something that's,
I heard another guy say like that white people are the best race. And so like the person debating them is like, okay, what makes white people superior? And he couldn't answer, obviously, because there's no fucking reason why.
But that's the point.
Or that men are better leaders than women, or that men are superior to women. It's like, why? In what way? Because women have their strengths and men have their strengths. And actually, from a leadership perspective, I don't know if you know this, but from a leadership perspective, women are actually much better at emotional regulation. They have a lot more gray matter in the area of the brain that regulates their emotions around their amygdala. And so they are much more capable of doing that than men are. And if you look at history, who are wars caused by? Fucking men.
Yeah.
What woman has declared war? I can't think of a single one.
My ex-wife. had to throw that out there.
Well,
But
yeah,
no, you're
I
right.
mean, it's true though. So like on a personal, on a personal relationship level, like we have our stuff, but on a world leadership level where women are rising up to leadership positions, you just don't see it as much.
But see, that's the thing, Paul. That you referred to the Trump Harris debate. Okay. The the thing is, I think when people they can't actually they have a script, they follow a script, or they have the script.
You have a
is
plan until somebody
implanted
punches you in the face.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I grew up here, so this is what everybody believes, so I believe that too. And if I have to fight you for it, I'll fight you for it. But when push comes to shove, and I think, in thinking about it more, I do remember a little bit about that debate, is that neither side could I think actually Kamala did a better job at defending her um, stances on things. I'm like, okay, well, here's why I think that way, and here's why this would work. But Trump or whoever, but then she got sucked into it too at a time or two.
She got her policies out in like the first couple questions. So you if you watch it back, you just listen to the beginning of the debate and you'll be able to hear what she was standing for. And then after a while, it started to derail a little bit. She tried to keep it together and did a much better job than Hillary. I'll say that, but.
Well, yeah.
More mature presidents, please.
Well, and that's the thing, I'm doing my own growth work. I heard this great quote, and the people talk about a midlife crisis, right? There's it wasn't maybe Carl Jung, could be Robert A. Johnson, but they basically said the first half of life is an unavoidable mistake. So
that resonates.
Yeah, no, I get it. But you got to do a lot of the growth. So maybe that's the answer, Paul. You're not allowed to vote until you're 50.
There you go. But then you got everybody that's voting for their self-interests, and then younger people get taken care of always.
Yeah, and younger people try to vote on idealism. So
maybe we should have debated that, because a lot of younger folks are like super into socialism, even communism, which I don't agree with that far, but they're really into the idea of socialism because capitalism is not working well for younger generations. It's kind of screwing them. Like houses proportionately cost so much more than they did for, like, say, your generation when you were much younger. So like, it's not just like, oh, buy a house and you can own stuff and make your passive income anymore. Like now people are in debt, like you said, student debt, medical debt, all these different types of debt until they're basically in their 50s or whenever they do get out of it.
If they get out of it. Okay, Paul, I'm gonna go off the rail here. I'm gonna blame California for all this.
Ooh.
Okay, because moving to Oregon, like I know for a fact because I have my real estate license that like when they the housing market, like cost of a house almost tripled in a couple of years because California was so crazy with divisiveness and cost of living and everything that people.
Oh, it's horrible there.
I've got this 900 square foot townhome that's worth $1.3 million. Well, I can go to Oregon and pay cash for a house that's twice that big. and everybody's, and then all of a sudden, and it's happened in Tennessee, it's happened in Texas, it's happened all over the country, that they're just like running, and it's like, then there was actual bidding wars for house. Like at one point in Oregon, you had to actually, if my house was built in 1955, okay, it had a postage stamp size lot, and it was 1,100 square foot. I think the trailer that I lived in Auburn, Alabama, was about the same size. That house was worth over $500,000 in Oregon. It had white mold that we had to get rid of. I mean, but it was old. But the point is that, people come there, they're willing to, like, I want that house. I've got $1 million. I just sold my house in California. So I could go buy these houses anywhere, and I don't have a house payment. So I'm blaming California. I know that's probably really dumb, but I went there.
No, it's getting harder to live there. Somehow they make the most money in the US though.
Yeah.
Might have something to do with it. Maybe it's all house owners.
It could be it.
All right, Brian. Maybe we can pick this up on a future day, and we can talk more about California. Maybe we can talk more about something else we were talking about that we didn't fully finish. But we can pick some of this stuff up on a future date. But I got to head out and pick up my wife. So this was an absolute pleasure. I had a lot of fun talking about this.
I did too, Paul. And I think if, and I know your intentions are, and sort of my intentions are as well, as I think there needs to be more curiosity-based approaches to people and understanding, and less conflict, and just like think before you react. My dad used to say you have 2 ears in one mouth for a reason. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you speak.
I like that one. I always like that one.
So
yeah. That's so, like, if you comment on my post and I ask you for a source, give me your source. I actually want to know your source. I'm speaking to everybody. Just I want to know your source. Like, that's why I ask for it. I don't ask for it just to disprove you or just to be right. I actually want to read it. I want to learn about it. So that's why I ask almost everybody for a source when they comment on my posts, because I want to know, where are you seeing the information? Are we seeing different internets? I want to know that. Like, I want to go see like where that is coming from, so I can verify it for myself and add to my life. And that's for everybody else that reads the comments too. All right. Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Paul.
And I will see you in like 2 days, right?
Well, it's supposed to be tomorrow, but there's some travel delays. But yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll work that out.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Travel
Let's do this
safe.
again.
For sure.
I got all kind of the ideas flowing now, so we can really stir things up a little bit, and get some awareness, and maybe cause a little conflict that would have some good resolution to it.
I'd like that.
With deep thinking. Yeah.
I'd like that. All right, cool. Well, we'll end the stream right here.